Yes, folks, here we go. It is time to turn the MoDXtra Games and Collectibles excitement amplifier up to 11 because look at this. Look at this pre-order that's arrived on my doorstep today. It is a G.I. Joe Classified series, Cobra Copperhead, and I am buzzing over this guy arriving. It feels like it's been ages since I've done any G.I. Joe Classified series on the channel. I mean, it's probably not actually been that long. I think perhaps the last G.I. Joe Classified series theme vid was when I reviewed the live stream, but hey, what's a live stream when you've now got goodies in hand? I'm buzzing. Plastic crack. Really into this line, so very pleased to have a new figure arrive today, and very pleased that I'm going to be able to open it up and share it with you fine folks, because I love you. I love the MoDXtra Games and Collectibles viewing community. You're the best. So let's take a quick look at the packaging, get the unboxing done, then I'm going to go away for a few days, have a good play with Copperhead, and then I'll come back and share my review thoughts. So here's the front. We've got this wonderful new colour scheme. The black really makes the kind of colours of the main body, the main focus of the cover, pop there. The green colour scheme, the green colour motif really works extremely well with that black. It just really centres the focus on what's going on here in the main kind of visual area. I'm really into the idea of getting, is that a digital render or a bit of in-house photography from Hasbro? I can't quite tell. I think it might actually be a bit of in-house photography. I think that's a good decision. I think it's a good decision to focus on the figure in the main body of this sort of visual focus area here, with the artwork just there off to the side. Although the artwork's sweet. Look at that. Look at the crazy eyes. Loving the crazy eyes on Copperhead there. Looks really suitably manic with his dagger out, just doing his crazy Copperhead things. He's obviously got the info there. It's a Cobra character. It's the G.I. Joe Classified series line. A little bit of a peek at the included accessories and added value. Yeah, that's a good looking piece of packaging. I know the windowless window package debate goes on and it's a bit polarizing, but I'm into that. That's doing it for me. I like that. It's very eye-catching. The green motif color scheme, you know, the swampy jungle stuff that's going on works well with the black. It's nice. It's pretty. Let's have a look at the back. Here we go. Then the back, we've got number 72 in the line. We've got the digital render of the figure and more advertising of the included accessories. Gives you the figure height, the measurements, dimensiony bit there at the side. A little bit of a closer look at the back holster piece. What's that doing? That's showing off his tattoo, the paint application on his arm there, which I think is a lovely selling point for an adult collector. Got all the legal bollocks and malarkey at the bottom here, and it looks like they've moved the kind of data card information from the side. Have they? Oh, we'll have another look at that. I think it's still there. So we've got these little data card pieces of information. Looks like Copperhead's into the ship's wheel on the helm of a boat there, or maybe a spider's web. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Got a row of bullets there, so he's a guns and ammo guy. He's fist bumping, so he's obviously, you know, a bro, down with the lads. And that looks like some... I have to bring it closer to my aging eyesight. I'm squinting, I've got my glasses on. It looks like it might be some sort of jungle scene, so I can only conclude that Copperhead's into tropical holidays. He's a traveller, likes to get around, and likes to maybe do a bit of sunbathing on, you know, some like beaches in Thailand or something. So there we go, that's what's going on there. The sides, here we go, one of the sides takes a closer look at Crazy Eyes Copperhead, that artwork from the front but replicated in a larger way, and points out that it's number 72 in the line. And the other side has this QR code on it here and the data card information again. So let's give that a quick go. Okay, well, it looks like this new QR code on the side takes you to some kind of shop.hasbro.com. Okay, so go to shop, enter your birthday. It looks like it just takes you can choose to go to the shop or to like this Play website, which seems to have Peppa Pig stuff going on it. You'd think it would take you to the G.I. Joe, wouldn't you? Let's have a look there. Has this been around for a while? I think this site's been around for a while. I've not discovered anything new here. Yeah, there's not even any G.I. Joe in the menu. So, yeah, great job, Hasbro. Well done. And more legal bollocks and malarkey on the bottom. Right, let's get this bad boy open, shall we? So, I've already popped the tape. We've got the case, the weapon case there, number 72. Ooh, a bit different. A black one here. It's got Copperhead's name on the side. That's nice. Cobra symbol there. And then the figure itself will be on one of those little cardboard little thingy-ma-doodads. There we go. Oh, right, we've got some cutting and chopping to do off camera. Back in a sec. Right, I'm back. I've done some scissor work there. But let's get into this one first. Let's open up that. It's got the little... paperwork. Got the little accessories baggie that's been standard for the last couple of figures now. Let's just make sure everything's pushed down to the bottom there. Tear it across the top like a packet of crisps. Tip this of these goodies out. Is that completely empty? Yes, it is. So we've got his holster, his little Lugery pistol thing, his big old barreled revolver with a sight on it, and his machete. And then Copperhead himself, if I just take him out there, and there we go. And there we go, there's the man himself in the plastic. Right, I'm going to go away and get some playtime in with this bad... Oh no, a little pop stud thing on the top. Ew. Oh no. Right, hang on. I can never resist. I get them open and I can never resist playing with them. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go away, take some photos, have some man-child playtime, mess around with some displays, and I'll be back in a couple of days once I've had some good hands-on time with him to share some thoughts on the figure. So stick around, folks. I'm going to go away and have some playtime, but you'll get future Chris with some review thoughts in 3, 2, 1. All right then, folks, I'm back. It's been a couple of days now since I recorded the unboxing section of the video that you've just watched. I've been away, had some good hands-on man-child playtime with Copperhead, gathered up some thoughts and feelings to share in the review portion of the video. I've had him displayed up with some Cobras, been playing around with posing him, got him in the light box, been taking some photos, all the good stuff we like to do in our man-child playtime with our action figures. And so if you're new around these parts, the review portion is made up of 3 sections that I call the 3 A's. The first A is going to be the aesthetic. Going to talk about how he looks, get into the sculpt, get into the paint applications, get into the textures. What's the visual impact of Copperhead? How am I enjoying him on a visual level? Then into the second A, going to talk about articulation. How does he move? How posable is he? What's the range and scope of that posability to do the types of things that we want to do with our figures? And then finally, the third A is going to be accessories and added value. What extra goodies have Hasbro chucked in with this particular Cobra figure to make it worth our hard-earned cash? And with all that said and done, it is my hope that by the conclusion of this video, if you're thinking about picking up a Copperhead for yourself, I'll help you make your mind up. Either you'll know that it's the figure for you, or you'll know that it's not. So let's not dilly-dally around now. Let's get into it, and let's get started with the aesthetic. Okay then, I brought Copperhead a bit nearer to the camera so that we can conduct a closer inspection of the visual qualities of the figure, and clearly drawing heavy inspiration from the original 80s Copperhead look there. The core aesthetic is the same, the design of the helmet, the vest, the colour scheme, all of that drawing very heavily from how Copperhead was back in the day, even down to the weird studded chastity belt thing that you sometimes see on the figure. I don't know if it was in the cartoon though, but yeah. So for those who are looking for that G.I. Joe classified sort of mashup of the retro nostalgic look and feel of a figure with the more modern, more contemporary sort of military elements that they throw in there, you're definitely getting that with Copperhead. There's no two ways about it. Sculpting-wise, there's a hell of a lot to like about the Copperhead figure, up to the usual G.I. Joe classified standard, in my opinion. If we start up here with the head, there's loads going on. The helmet is really well sculpted, lots of textures, got the contrast in the different colour schemes. I like the little shiny silver breather grills here on the face mask with a little bit of black all painted across the top there, and where the air is getting put in, and the contrasting 2 different colours of green, all excellent. We're not getting a lot of face there obviously because of the nature of his helmet and mask, but even in this small area here where you can see his eyes and his eyebrows in the sort of visor space of the helmet, it's communicating so much. Look at those crazy eyes. I don't know if this is intentional or whether it's a dodgy paint application, but this eye seems to be a little bit bigger than this eye in a sort of crazy eye type of way. I hope so. I hope it is intentional because it's really working for me. The reason I think it might be intentional because it looks like that eyebrow is sort of a bit more raised than that eyebrow, which I'm loving. I'm loving that, this kind of crazy eye thing going on, which is super appropriate for an adrenaline junkie, boat racing, gambling man from Florida. You know what I mean? So I'm loving that. I'm loving the crazy eyes. That's really great. Loads going on there. That quality of sculpting continues down into the main body. You can see like the musculature of the chest, the shoulders, the arms, which is really nice. Texture and depth in things like the vest. You can see the kind of folds and stretch marks in there. That's all lovely to see. Got all these different effects on the belt. So there's some kind of leathery look effects there, some texture sculpted into these accessory pieces that are hanging around. His gloves look leathery as well. Love this sculpted belt buckle with the skull on it. That's nice and lovely and neatly painted on the belt area there. I'll swing back round paint applications in a minute, actually, but in this instance, very happy with that. One element aesthetically that's been pecking my head a little bit is this second belt over the top of the main belt that's sculpted onto the figure. So this is for his machete sheath on the side here, but it's glued down on this side there. So there's very little in terms of sort of flexibility and range of motion, especially when the machete is in it, that restricts movement. And what I'm finding is when I was taking some pictures and stuff, it was obscuring this really awesome belt buckle. So while I love the fact that they've taken the time to sculpt a really great belt buckle, regardless of its visibility or not, I wanted a little bit. I keep having to sort of pull it down and sort of tuck it under, and then with the machete in, when you do some leg movement, it kind of goes a bit funky, and so that might be something that, I don't know. That's a minor one, really. Then we've got the textured look in the trousers with the kind of snaky padding motif that we see on a lot of the Cobra figures there to give it a little bit of cohesion across the Cobra ranks. So despite the fact that he's this kind of green color scheme, he still sits well within the general display of the figures, and then nice leathery looking boots. One lovely aesthetic feature that I don't think we've seen before in G.I. Joe Classified, this is the first figure with it, although we know from previews that there's more coming down the line, is the paint application, the tattoo here on the inside of his forearm, of his right forearm. So that's a really lovely touch, very on brand for the type of personalities and, you know, kind of military tough men that the Cobras and the Joes are. So loving that, and can't wait to see how the rock and roll tattoos turn out. But it's very neatly done, really well applied. I've just got no complaints about that at all. I love that little bit of flavour there. That's really adding to the figure. I mentioned a few moments ago that I swing back around to paint applications. I've got some squiggly untidiness going on here with the helmet and the top of the vest line. So I don't know if you can see that very well on camera. Maybe if I angle the face down like that, you can see there's some green from the face mask that's spilled onto the skin area, which is kind of affecting my enjoyment of this section of the face. And then you can see some smudgy green sections up here on the vest line across the top of the chest. So some bits haven't been painted and some bits have been overpainted onto the skin tone areas of the figure. The colour scheme is good. The contrasting greens all work really well together. There is a bit of a difference from the helmet to the vest to the trousers. The vest is suffering a little bit from that quite typical G.I. Joe Classified problem of the shiny chest stuff that's going on. They just love wearing shiny t-shirts, shiny shirts, and apparently shiny vests as well in the world of G.I. Joe. I like the silver Cobra symbol. That sits well with the silvery belt buckle, with the black straps and belts and holsters and cod pieces going on, little chastity belt thing. It all frames up the figure very well, so the colour impact is great, and it's yet another character to add to the palette, the colour palette that's going on across the Cobra area of the shelf, and that's looking really vibrant over there now with the likes of your Alley Vipers, your Storm Shadows, your Zoranas, you know, the Copperhead, so on and so forth. So it's got a lot going on. It's not just all about that blue, red and black kind of thing. So very pleased with that. And finally, not going to say a lot on the subject, and it's not really aesthetic, but I've got to put it somewhere in the video. I really hate these stupid holster straps with the rubbery pin stud that goes in there. They do my head in. And we've got one here on his leg holster, and then there's one on the backpack holster, which we'll take a look at a little bit later on in the accessories section of the video. And they're annoying. They keep popping out. The rubber is too soft to maintain themselves in there. Sometimes when posing, some of the leg motions that I've put him in, I just find it pops out of his own accord. The backpack one's even worse than this one. They're dreadful. I just, why bother? I hate them. I really do not like these. I hated them on Black Series. I hated them on the Indiana Jones figure that I picked up recently. And now they're starting to infiltrate my G.I. Joe Classified series line. No, thank you. So Lenny, if you're watching, sack that off. It's a waste of time. It's an unnecessary annoyance. How, when you got your prototypes, you didn't look at that and go, oh God, that's going to really pee off Chris in Manchester? I don't know, because that should have been first and foremost consideration when it comes to using these bloody stupid things. So that's it. I'm not going to say any more about that because I'll just rant about them for ages. So overall, then, as far as aesthetic goes, Copperhead's getting a thumbs up from me. That's a MoDXtra Games and Collectibles thumbs up. Little disappointed with the sloppy paint applications around the helmet and the vest. I'm kind of coming to a state of acceptance around the shiny chest area stuff that's going on. But overall, I think he's quite a striking figure. There's a lot of personality, a lot of character there visually on it. They've maintained their usual high standard with sculpting quality, so that's awesome. Loving the texture, really brings some depth, really adds to the character kind of narrative, the three-dimensional narrative that's going on there. Really loving the flavour, the new addition of the tattoos. So lots and lots to like, far outweighing the elements to dislike. So yeah, massive thumbs up on Copperhead. Very pleased with the aesthetic visual elements. 100%, all on board. So there we go. All right, let's now move into the articulation section. Let's have a closer look at how he moves. There'll be no alarms, no surprises to anyone who's had hands-on with G.I. Joe Classified before. The articulation is following the standard model that we've seen all the way through the line, and it's pretty, it's damn good. It's good articulation, and Copperhead is no different. So getting started up the top here then on the head. Head's on a ball joint, gives you plenty of motion there. 360 X-assist all the way round, good down, decent up, bit of tilt, all that good turny and swivelly stuff there. Moving down into the shoulder areas, we've got a hinge there that allows us to give him the T. Got the butterfly joint in here as well, allowing for a bit of shuffle back and forward. Cut at the top of the bicep and tricep there, a bit of swivel. Double elbow that'll get you up to there. His massive muscles sort of restrict some of the full U shape that you can get out of the double elbows there. And then the standard pinned in hands, which gives you loads of swivel, and both sides have got an up and down hinge for a bit of gun handling, gunplay action. Quick note on the arms, Copperhead was very stiff for me out the box in the elbows in particular, but also at the top of the shoulders. This right butterfly joint was very gummy out the packet, so there was a bit of hot water involved, so I'd recommend giving that a careful checking and a bit of heating up before you get too much into it. Into the torso, we've got an ab crunch across the middle there, giving you some good forward, some good back. There's also some swivel in the waist too, giving you a good range of motion there. Look, see, as soon as you start manhandling the figure, these stupid bloody holster straps pop out. Bloody things. Hate these things. It's the standard G.I. Joe Classified leg setup as well. Got the drop-down joint in the hips there, in the groin area, giving you a good range of motion out, allowing for the ballet dancer. And a good range of motion forward, giving you the kick. This holster and the machete sheath does get in the way a little bit. I was trying to do some kneely, crouch downy stuff with him last night when I was playing around, and this was restricting movement a little bit, so bear that in mind. However, the strap on the gun holster here is just above the thigh cut, which is the next piece of articulation. We've got thigh cut there, allowing for some swivel at the top of the thigh. Double knee, which will get you up to about there. Swivel on the top of the boot. And the hinge and rocker on the ankles, giving a decent range of motion in the feet. These are solid boots as well, by the way, guys. He's a very good independent stander. That's a nice surface area for a good solid foundation, especially with these extra bits of grip. Copperhead doesn't fall over all that often, I've noticed. So the articulation is standard for G.I. Joe Classified series, but I don't say that as a bad thing. Please do not derive from my use of the word standard any negative connotations, because I really love and enjoy the G.I. Joe Classified series articulation. I actually think for Hasbro it's the standard that all their action figure lines should be adhering to. I'd love to get some of this range of motion in Marvel Legends for sure. So very happy with the articulation. I mentioned a few times that I've been posing him up and playing around, and I found that I was able to do quite a bit of interesting stuff and be creative and experiment a little bit with what I did with the figure, so that was all good. And other than the fact that things like the holster and the machete are a little bit obstructive and these armbands fall down quite a bit, it was all fine. All fine, yeah. So thumbs up, definitely a thumbs up as far as articulation is concerned when it comes to Copperhead. You will find all the same pleasure and enjoyment with Copperhead as you found with every other G.I. Joe Classified series to date, except maybe Baroness. Okay, so that's articulation done. Let's now move into the third and final section of the review portion of this video and talk about the accessories and added value. Okay then, folks, so let's get started with the weapons and accessories, and Copperhead is one to get up close and personal with his enemies because it's largely a kind of small arms selection that comes with him. We have first up his sort of main gun, I suppose, which is a big old long-barreled revolver. I have it on very good authority from Richard Connolly on Twitter that this is a Colt Python Hunter. And I've no reason to disbelieve him. He seemed to know what he was talking about. So there we go. So we've got this big old long-barreled revolver with the sight across the top. It's nicely sculpted. You know, you've got the kind of bullet chamber and the trigger and the, what's that, the hammer? Do we call that the hammer at the back and all that? There's a bit of texture to it. Two different colours, the black and the kind of gunmetal grey there. The gunmetal's nice, looking good. Yeah, that's a lovely piece of weaponry. It's a little bit, you know, G.I. Joe has been a bit thin and wobbly of late with their guns, and this is no different. It's got a bit of bend in the barrel there. I've been trying to straighten it out with a hairdryer, but with not much luck. But overall, yeah, very eye-catching piece of weaponry, very sinister, quite a menacing weapon. I think somehow more menacing than a big old, you know, rifle or machine gun or whatever. I seem to find that a little bit more menacing, especially in the hands of Copperhead with his crazy eyes, you know what I mean? So that's a nice piece, yeah, definitely. And that revolver, big long revolver thing, has got an extra big holster to store it in, which comes in the form of this kind of backpack holster there. So you've got the peg here to slot it into the back, and then you've got the space at the top here to pop the pistol into. This is a lovely piece of work. It's got great kind of leather look effect in the texture, in the sculpt. I love that they've taken the time to put a little bit of paint application on the tips of the bullets that are stored in this extra bullet area here. It does have an annoying freaking peg hole strap thing, which drives me mad. This one is particularly bad because when you've got the gun in the holster, which slides in like so. In fact, I'll show you quickly before I continue complaining about the holster strap. You can see it's got the chambers, so you can see where the long barrel and the sight go there. So you just slide it in according to those channels in the holster there. When it's in the holster, the pin can't go all the way through properly. It sits ever so slightly. Can you see that? And so I keep finding this springing out of its own accord all the time. It's been doing my nutting. But no more strap talk. I'm not going to go on about the straps. It's just a real bugbear of mine. I hate them. But it's other than that, it's lovely. I like the whole concept, the idea, the look and feel. I think those bullets look really sweet across the top there with those little silver paint applications on the bullet tips. Very nice. And that just goes in this back like any other backpack. Got the peg hole there. Got the peg. Stick the peg in the peg hole. Done. Sorted. Lovely. Job's a good one. Next we have his big old machete. At least I think it's a machete. I've been referring to it as such. I don't know whether the design means it's something else. There's a couple of you armament folks out there who know a lot more about this than me, so please do educate me in the comments down below. It's a nice sculpt again, got good contours, nice paint applications in the blade, silvery, shiny blade colour, looks suitably metallic, got the groove at the back there, nice. The handle is in black, so it's got a little bit of contrast between the handle and the blade, which I'm always a fan of, and it's been sculpted to have that kind of hand grip shape, so that's a nice piece of work. Again, another very intimidating piece of small arms that Copperhead's dragging around with him. It's a real nice fit in the hand as well, actually. I find it suits the trigger finger hand really well, and I've been enjoying myself posing him up with that in hand. Definitely, that's a big kind of visual addition to the character's kind of personality, to the narrative you're telling with Copperhead, so I enjoy that a great deal. And I mentioned earlier that there's a storage area for this on his person, which is on this second belt here. You have to go with the curve down like that to slide it in, so it fits that way round. Last, we have the pistol that goes in the thigh holster there. It's like a Lugery sort of thing, a little kind of Lugery pistol type of thing. All a single colour black plastic, but it's got some sculpting in there to give it some character, to give it some realism. Got the nice textured bit on the grip too, which is lovely to see. I mean, there's not a great deal to say about that. It looks like what it's supposed to be, and it does what it's supposed to do on an action figure. So I must admit, I've been using this one less, but that's, I suppose, because when you've got that big old, what was it now, the Colt Python Hunter, a big old long-barreled Dirty Harry style revolver with a sight on it, then why would you, Why did you spend a lot of time posing with that when you got the really fun one over there? And that pops into this holster on the thigh there. And, you know, you can try and pop the holster strap down. Oh, check that out. It worked for the first time. Probably because I was on camera. When I'm off camera, that never works. So the accessory selection's good. Yeah, it's solid. It's a solid selection. It all contributes to the visual identity of the character. It all contributes to giving him some storytelling narrative that you can play around with and work with if you're dioramering or photography, you know, that kind of stuff. So that's all good, and it's all in line with the character. You know, what you would imagine Copperhead would use. He doesn't just shoot his opponent. He wants something that's just going to actually blow fucking bits of bits of his opponents off. And if that doesn't work, he'll hack the rest off with that big old thing. You know what I mean? So it all works. It all kind of adds up. It does feel a little light. You know, 2 pistols, a machete, and a bit of a backpacky thing does feel a bit light. I think by their own standard, G.I. Joe Classified series has sort of set its stall out as a space where it's a bit high and low in the accessory space. When I think of, I don't know, like the Crimson Guards came with loads of stuff, or the Alley Vipers. I don't know, it just feels a little bit light. But I'm not particularly complaining about that, because what I wouldn't want them to do is throw extra stuff in necessarily for the sake of it. Well, who am I kidding? Yeah, I want more. I always want more. So if that's my main review point, that I just always want more because I'm a greedy action figure collector, then I suppose that's fine. We can't hold it against them. Anyway, it's definitely a thumbs up on accessories. They're good accessories. They're doing everything I want them to do, so I'm happy. Right, quick figure comparison portion of the video now. Here's Copperhead with a Cobra Viper. I don't know why, these guys just felt right to me, and I've had them next to each other on my shelf for the last 2 nights. Maybe it's because of that sort of snake skin padding motif that's in that cohesive element of the uniform. I don't know, but I like the way they look together. I like the colour contrasts, you know, the Ranger palette there. So there he is with a Cobra Viper anyway. Here's Copperhead with Zorana, you know, just a fellow kind of swamp-dwelling buddy. I suppose, but also kind of demonstrating just the range of colour schemes that are going on in the Cobra space right now. And Zorana's just like one of my faves at the minute. I'm really loving that figure, and yeah, they're quite nice and complimentary. Or are they? I don't know. I don't know if that pink's working with the green. Let me know in the comments down below. Here he is with Sergeant Slaughter. Just chuck the Sergeant on there so that you could take a look and see the different size and shape of those 2 very distinct sort of bucks. You can see Sergeant Slaughter's definitely got the height and shoulder width on top of what Copperhead's got going on there. And here's Copperhead next to Dusty, who I suppose you would describe as a pretty typical uniformed G.I. Joe soldier boy type. Okay, final thoughts time then, folks. And here's Copperhead going around on the turntable in the sort of pose that I've sort of half decided on. I had him like this the other day, and I kind of liked it. This sort of come at me, bro, crazy-eyed, got me machete out, I'm going to cut you thing going on. Just felt right, felt appropriate for Copperhead, I suppose. Needs a bit of tinkering. It's not quite there yet. I'll probably not settle for this long, though, because I'll want something that integrates that big old frightening bastard of a revolver that he's got there. But getting to my final thoughts then. So yeah, there's some small complaints, but overall, Copperhead is a top-notch figure, and I'm very happy to have him as an addition to my G.I. Joe Classified Series collection. Definitely looks great in the display with the other Cobras that I've got out on my down. He's in the downstairs display right now, not the hidden away upstairs display, the downstairs display right now. So I suppose that speaks for itself. Although, have I mentioned the downstairs and upstairs display before? Probably not. Anyway, not that you care. I'm sure some of you folks out there have got downstairs and upstairs displays like me. So yeah, really happy. The small criticisms around the paint applications on the helmet and the vest, the holster straps, the weird decision with the second belt and the backwards inserting thing with the machete are all minor. They're all minor because the pros far outweigh the cons in this instance, and so I'm definitely giving Copperhead a big old 2 thumbs up. So if you're a G.I. Joe Classified Series collector, you're looking for something to add a good splash of colour and a bit of a different energy to the display, and you're looking for something that's got some great kind of storytelling potential to give you photos and your dioramas a lovely narrative, then I think Copperhead's a good shout for that. Definitely, most definitely. All right, well, that brings me to the close of the video. Thank you so very much for choosing me and watching my review of Copperhead today. I know you could pick a bazillion other vids, so I'm hugely appreciative that you chose mine. If you've enjoyed it and it's been useful, then give us a thumbs up like. If you're not subscribed, then please do hit the subscribe button. It means ever so much to me, but it only takes you a second. I wish you all a great day. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and I'll see you around these parts sometime soon for some more collectible review action. All right, see you later then, folks. Ta-ra.